Namaste, everyone, and welcome. I am here with Dr. Dharmesh Mehta. We are here to discuss Dasha and our promotion for event. Namaste, Dr. Mehta. It's good to have you here.
Namaste, Kṣaṇāti. How are you, sir? Hope you
Everything,
find well.
everything is excellent. And how are you doing this evening? Well?
Yeah, I'm doing well. And it's a great opportunity for both of us that we join together and doing the video together. And I know you are doing the webinar, so many webinars you're done for Saptarishi outside the Bombay, and so many great things you have done. You have connected so many people. And just now recently also I have seen about Rahu also. That was also a great thing. You have done your Ayurveda. That is also a good Vedic things you have already connected. And I'm very excited about the Dasha summit we are going to do on the 18th of August. And me, myself, yourself, then Sunili ji and PV Narsirao ji is there. Who else are there?
Sam Jeppy Sadasiva will also be
Oh,
joining us.
oh wow, great, great, Sam. So we are going to do the Dasha, right?
Yes, yes. And for all of you who don't know Dr. Dharmesh and are viewing this on my channel, I just want to introduce to you, he's been doing Vedic sciences and Jyotish for over 30 years. He's been awarded pretty much every honor there is to achieve. Jyotish Visharad, Jyotish Ratna, Jyotish Bhushan, Jyotish Alankar, Jyotish Veer, and many more honors beyond this. But his teachings are very direct. They speak to the mind, they speak to the heart, and they speak to the soul. And that is because he taught on all different levels of consciousness. And that is why it is so important for me to work with this man. So I am so deeply honored to be working with you today. Thank you.
It's my honor, sir. It's my honor. So let's start with the Dasha. As this is, I believe this is a trailer for what we are going to do in the August.
Exactly. Because in our event on August 18th on Dasha, we'll be doing different method of using Dasha. But we might not have all of the time to talk about every single Mahadasha. So that's why I think this is excellent, because it will be a perfect complement to all the different methods of using Dasha we will discuss in our summit.
Right, definitely. And there are a lot of people, so maybe everybody get a very short while to give the justice to the Dasha. So let's start Dasha. See, in the Vedic astrology, there's only a instrument, or you can say as a yardstick as a event prediction. And event prediction based on the two things, Dasha and Gochar. Gochar means transit. So one is a fixed mode and one is a moving mode, as you're aware about it. So Dasha will focus more because that is something based on the moon, something based on the sign. There are total 36 kind of a Dasha mentioned in the Brihat Parashar Hora. We normally, the Parashara also has said that always take a two Dasha simultaneously. One moon based, another is either a Rasi base or Bhava base or year base. Right?
Correct.
So normally we go to the moon based Dasha. Why they have choose the moon based Dasha, not a ascendant based Dasha? Because normally our mind control our action. And that is why they say that our mind, our mood is so sensitive with the nature. So once it change the nature, change the mood. So that is why the Dasha is based on the moon. We all should know that why it is moon only. There are so many Dasha. What is your point, sir?
I agree completely. And just to add on to everything which Dr. Dharma said, the Dasha is one of the best methods for the use of prediction. But we also use Dasha along with Gochar, with transit. And when the transit and dasha align together, this is when we see the strongest direct alignment of events in Jyotish. The Vimshottari Dasha, which we will be focusing on, is based on the moon. And primary focus in Parashara and other aspects of Jyotish. There is Chara Dasha, there is Rashi Dasha, there is many Rohini Dasha, there's many
Chakra Dasha.
But focusing on Vimshottari Dasha, because of the emphasis of the moon and the lunar transit through the different nakshatra, give the utmost importance along with transit.
Right, very much. And that is why, see, the nakshatras are the container on which the moon sit. So this container is very important on which nakshatra you're born. So that is why lunar nakshatra is very important, lunar constellation it says, and based on this the entire dasha goes. There are two variation or two kind of things it is mentioned in the dasha. One is its sequence like one malefic, one benefit, one malefic, one benefit. That is called sequence. And one is dasha years. So there the secret lies. Here the secret lies in between the sequence as well as dasha year.
Yes.
So sequence says first is a Ketu, then Venus. Ketu malefic, Venus benefit. Again Sun malefic, Moon benefit. We are generally talking about the natural malefic and benefit. Functional malefic benefit can be seen afterward. But this sequence has been made, one malefic and one benefit, one malefic, one benefit. So it has to be interpreted that all the malefic planet comes between the two benefit, or other way, one benefit planet dasha comes in between two malefic planet. This is the way which the people see.
Exactly.
And another thing is that is mentioned is that the year, one dasha having a small ears and another have a bigger, and again smaller, again bigger, like our heartbeat. See, that's a cardiogram, and by seeing the up and down pulse, person can be judged that he is alive. So same way, to make ourselves alive, the Parashara has also kept the ear on the map of a cardiogram. Like Ketu 7 years, then Sun 20, then again 6 years for Sun, 10 years for Moon. So these two combination of a Vimshottari Dasha you not seen in Ashtotri or any other Dasha. So that I believe that's a core part of a Dasha. What do you say, sir?
Excellent. I love what you're bringing out. And one thing to another way of expressing exactly what you say is all dasha, they have relationship with each other as far as a spiritual perspective, as far as an evolutionary perspective. There's a reason that Venus dasha come after Ketu dasha, exactly as you were saying with the benefic and the malefic. There's a reason that Sun come after Venus. There's a reason that Rahu, that the Jupiter come after Rahu. So this is all part of our what from a spiritual perspective, which God wants us to experience. And like you say, the cardiogram, all of these different types of experiences, which the God wants us to have.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that's something secret. So this is the two main parts. So what we normally have to see is that in which dasa the native has born. That's very important. The birth dasa is having a 50% impact of the person life, because at what moment, what circumstances you are born, that leads to entire life. That is why birth dasha I believe as a 50% weightage, and rest all 5, 6 dasha whatever you go through during your lifetime is a 50%. Whatever seeded, that is only going to get the result, right? We believe that how the seeds are being planted. And secret lies here also, that the first dasha always being part, we call as a bhukta and bhogya. Means the certain part you have already completed, that you have completed in the past life. So it's just merely a continuation of your past life, and that is why birth dasha on the constellation, on the dasha what you born, is a major role in your life, right?
Yes. Yes. Um,
And
as Dr.
yeah,
Dharmesh mentioned, the dasha which you are born under having a greater impact than other dasha, and this is seen
yeah,
through many great Jyotisha research, and it's the seed which that it's the seed which is planted. So when you are a baby, you have no you don't have as much free will. So
right,
whatever energy you are born under, you have the graha will fully influence, will fully grab, will fully affect and manifest their karma over that individual. So the birth dasha having great impact.
right. So that is a birth dasha, and nobody have a complete of a birth dasha. And by birth dasha, and normally now the people here in the India also and worldwide, they have a planned cesarean. You might be also aware about the planned cesarean, a millennium baby or planned cesarean. So according to the planned cesarean, whenever the person or couple come to us that doctor has given these 3 days, what is a good day to get operated or cesarean. So basically I give emphasis on the which nakshatra having a smaller dasha, I take a birth of that child. And that is why Ketu or Sun or Mars, normally I select these three planets to begin with, because when you begin with this three nakshatra as a birth, then you'll be always on the rising part. And there are lot of examples I have where they born in the smallest dasha and they progress more into it. As we have discussed the sequence, a smaller dasha, then bigger, then smaller and the bigger. The odd dasha and even dasha concept start from here. Odd dasha means the birth dasha, and third, fifth, seven is a odd dasha, and 2, 4, 6 is a even dasha. So whoever born in the odd dasha as a small dasha, their even dasha will be a bigger, and even dasha only pay you,
Yeah.
right? So this is very important when you are planning for any cesarean. One should take care that it should be go with the Ketu, either Sun or Mars. When you take this nakshatra, basically Ketu, but every time you can't find a Ketu dasha, Ketu nakshatra. So if you find a Ketu, why the Parashara has kept not Sun as a first dasha, but Ketu, because it's a Ashwini, it is a 0 degree, and Ketu always reflect your past life. Sun is not reflecting your past life. Sun is a soul to whom you have met during any journey of your life. Whereas Ketu is a purely your past life, immediately past life, whom you have left and whom you are attached. So that is why he has started with the Ketu Dasha. So let's start with the Ketu Dasha. We should start. If you want to add something, then you can add, or otherwise we go to the Dasha wise.
Yes, I agree. Let's start with the Ketu dasha.
Right. So let me give my inputs about the Ketu Dasha. So Ketu Dasha, when the person born in the Ashwini, Magha or Mula, you know all three nakshatras falls with the Ketu, and they are the beginners. They are the beginners of the all 9 tail nakshatras. So Ketu Dasha, when person born, half Dasha has already been passed and half Dasha is balanced. They are most ofly having certain work pending of their past life. They came here to complete their deeds. Normally, those who born in the Ashwini Magamul, and that is why in the Shastra it is said that whoever born in the Ketu Nakshatra or Mercury Nakshatra has to be done some Shanti. In Hindu texts, they believe mainly on the Shanti, to do the Graha Shanti for that nakshatra, because this nakshatra shows some pending karmas. You have hold, you have left something of a past life. So first you have to complete that encumbrance of a past life, then only you will be able to enjoy the future. So Ketu Dasa, whatever it is balance of a Ketu, he came, he or she, whoever the baby is there, he came from the same community, same caste, same religion, same family. He needs something from you. Just have to see which house the Ketu is placed in the chart. You'll come to know that he is connected with whom. Let me put an example, like if Ketu is in the first house, that means he is the immediate parents, immediate parents.
Mhm.
The second house means any relatives with the blood relation, very close and blood relation. Third, we know the siblings. So likewise, like fourth house, it is either mother side or maternal relation. Somebody has some pending karmas and he or she came to fulfill this. Whenever it is only birth dasha, but whenever your Ketu dasha comes, whenever in the any sequence you born in the Jupiter dasha, you born in the Saturn dasha, Venus dasha, any dasha. But if you are lucky that you will getting Ketu dasha in your life, whenever in the Ketu dasha in your lifetime you fall with the Ketu dasha, this is a right time to pay back all your dues. Rahu Dasha, somebody will come and give you, whereas Ketu Dasha, you are completing your deeds. So that is why I like a Ketu Dasha. And normally, whenever the plant caesarean comes to me, I try to make that in the Ketu. Then the Sun on Mars is my second choice. So Ketu Dasha is a time whereby you have to fulfill all your pending karmas. Whatever you have to pay, go and pay them and complete your deeds. Being a child, what happen if the person born with the Ketu Dasha during his childhood, because it will be a 7 years, less than 7 years the person will face. So this encumbrance with the parents or grandparents, so they have to pay back. Suppose he continues fall sick, so he has to pay to the medical bill, he has to pay to the doctor, he has to pay to the medicine. This is the encumbrance. That person owes something from you and you have to pay them. In between life, if somebody having a Ketu Dasha, that means during this period you meet some person to whom you have some encumbrance of past life. He will come, you have to give something to him, either service, money, relation, whatever. He will never turn back. And you will be always surprised, even after feeding him, even after giving him, why he is not turned back, why he has left me. This is your dues that you have paid. Nothing to be surprised. So, what do you say, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. I have to agree with everything that you've said, and the way that you put things is so articulate and resonates so deeply. I will say something very similar in that Ketu represent our past lifetime and our ancestral karma. So whenever we are in Ketu Dasha, there is this past lifetime karma, either energy or pattern or series, and this is not our first time to experience this. We have a saying, this isn't our first rodeo. Well, with Ketu, this is not your first rodeo. It shows that you have a lot of past lifetime karma wherever Ketu is placed. So if you have Ketu in 7th house, this isn't your first marriage. This isn't your first relationship. This is just an example. But just because you have past lifetime karma there, just because you have past lifetime energy there, doesn't mean that the karma is finished. It doesn't mean that the karma is complete. So I love that you, Dr. Dharmesh, say if you have the luck or you have the blessing to have Ketu Dasha in your lifetime. Because many people, they give negative stigma towards Ketu Dasha. And it is a blessing. There is a reason it is only one of the shortest Dasha, because we only have a short time to experience this blessing. So we come back to experience our past lifetime karma, but to finish what we have started, to complete the karma, to conclude the karma. And that is why Ketu is moksha karaka, the moksha significator. Because, once we complete all of our karma, then we are able to start to focus on moksha. After we have already completed dharma, artha, kama, then we can start to fulfill moksha. So Ketu shows that we must fulfill what we must complete karma, what pending karmas we must complete before we are ready to experience the moksha. And on most basic level, moksha is to not have any fear of death. But on the most supreme or spiritual level, moksha is mahasamadhi, to end the cycle of reincarnation. So if we can only fulfill what we've already started, complete our karma, then the Ketu Dasha can lead us towards liberation. And whichever house or is positioned in, that is the area of life which we must complete our karma in, so that we can focus on our spirituality, so that we can focus on our liberation.
Right, right. So we can move ahead to Venus.
Excellent. From one of the shortest dasha to the longest dasha.
Yeah.
So Dr. Dharmesh, please, would you like to start?
Yeah. No, you can start, sir. Venus Dasha. I'll put my inputs.
Okay. With Venus Dasha, I think it is one of most misunderstood dasha, because a lot of people, when they think of Venus, they think of love, they think of beauty, they think of romance. And it's not that Venus Shukra doesn't have to do with these things. Shukra does have influence on these things, but that not is Shukra's karma. Shukra is the guru of the Asurya.
Yes.
Guru is the great guru of duality. Shukra rules all of the forces of duality over the universe. That means that everything in the universe which has some opposing force, the Venus has dominion over this. So that is like very opposite of Ketu, which is mokshakaraka, and then Venus is the guru of this life, of the human life, the material life. So, but part of being a human being is to experience the human life.
Right.
And people with strong Venus in their chart, they're meant to have traditional human experience of life. And that's where love comes in and romance comes in. And that's where money comes in and wealth comes in, because that's part of the material journey here of being a human. But Venus also has to do with the opposite of all of those things. So you think that Venus Dasha is all about happy romance and love. But if Venus is not functional benefic, is in Dusthana, is in a difficult position in the chart, then this Dasha will also show divorce. It will also show heartbreak. It will also show widowing, the death of the partner. Just like Venus Shukra is the Lord of wealth. Yes, but if Venus is a functional malefic in the chart, then the person goes through debt in their Venus Dasha. The person go through bankruptcy in their Venus Dasha. The people go through financial struggle during their Venus Dasha. And so oftentimes before a lot of times people think Venus Dasha, it's going to be benefic. But, and many times, because Venus is the great guru of duality, we only know pleasure through the experience of pain. So if we experience some type of suffering during the Venus Dasha, then I like to think that Shukra will give us pleasure. Because what does Shukra want? It wants us to be in balance and harmony with everything that exists. But the balance is the middle way. The balance is the golden path, which in Vedic philosophy is the Vedanta philosophy. That is that is the true balance. And if we are extreme and dualistic or any aspect of our life, then we do not have the proper evolution with Venus. And so Venus Dasha, it is our relationship with the Vedanta. It is our relationship with the duality. And it might affect relationship and it might affect money, but it is more about the human experience and the duality which we are meant to go through.
Right. Very true. See, ultimately, the core and crux part of your saying is that ultimately it is all dimension. Venus, that is why we believe is a colorful, because it shows you all the colors of the life. It is a pleasure, it is a sorrow, it is everything. But one thing is that after completing the pending karmas, because it appears after the Ketu, so we should go in the past of the Ketu, past of the Venus is a Ketu. So you have completed your deeds. So now is the time to start new deeds. Because then only in the Sun Dasha, again you will connect with the soul. right? So here it's a pause time. Pause is a little pause, is a comma time. During comma time, what happens? You enjoy everything. You try to enjoy. Sometimes extreme pain also become a pleasure for someone. So it's an extreme of a both the side, either a pleasure, either a pain. Because continuously enjoying pleasure is also pain, and continuously having a pain end result is a pleasure. Then you like it. Ultimately, you have to accept it. So Venus make the people selfish. I've seen the Venus whenever the Venus is dominating in the chart, it makes you selfish. You can't think beyond certain things. Like you say, rightly say that is a guru for the demon. So demon only know one thing, that to have its own pleasure, not to bother of anyone. So that a sanskara is brought from the Venus, and that is why Venus is a guru for the deity. And because of the gurutva, as the Jupiter is the guru for the devta, means all the god, here it is all the malefic. So he'll take you to the all the extreme things of a life, which may be abundant in the society, in the civilized society. That is why Venus is extreme in the older side. So ultimately it will give you selfishness, it will give you your own pleasure, and it will only and only focus about yourself, what you are gaining, what you are getting. So that's a Venus, all kind of pleasure, but not including anyone. You are only thinking about yourself, your pleasure. Maybe it's pain for others. So that's a Venus Dasha, I believe.
Yeah. That is make me think that Venus, Shukra also have to do with Pancha Indra, the five senses. And
Five.
whenever we receive the, so the Venus Dasha, it evolved the Indra. Over the course of the Venus Dasha, certain things that feel good and taste good and look good before Venus Dasha no longer feel good or taste good or look good after Venus Dasha, because the Venus has become more evolution. So in this sense, the person, their Indraya, their senses become much more refined and sophisticated. And that's also, you find people with high dignity of Venus, they're very classy, very elegant, very refined, very sophisticated.
Right. Good to add. And all the glands in the body, all the glands, all the pituitary and all the glands also cover with the Venus. So it activates you insidely and you become more charging. So after the Venus, again the sun comes. See that sequence wise, this Venus is a second dasa. It is called as a sampat. Sampat means giving you a wealth. Then this third dasa is the sun. Now we'll focus on the sun dasa. Normally sun dasa again come back and joined all the soul. There is no exchange of deeds. People misunderstood the sun dasa. It's only meet you a people to whom you have some relation in past life. There is no acceptance of balance and pending karma. There is no new karma happens. No pending karma is complete. Only soul meet. Only soul meets. So where your heart connected with someone, your soul is connected with someone, there you meet during the sun dasa. Out of 120 years of Vimshottari dasa, only 5%. You have given 5% discount in sun dasa, that go and meet. You'll be given that go and meet to whom you have some connection. That is why many people say that in the sun dasa, I have to left my old job and I have to search a new job. Why? Because the new job carries all the past soul. You have to meet them. And that is why it has detached here and connected you to that side. So in sun dasa, you can find, I know in my sun dasa, I meet all the great astrologers like B.V. Raman, Chanduvai, all great astrologer I meet during my sun dasa. And that was a golden period. Maybe I was somewhere connected to them. So I lucky to meet them during this period. So sun dasa, I believe that is a period you will be awarded. Go and meet, go and search your soul. Whatever age you comes, Suppose you are born in the Sun Dasha, during your birth, so many people will come and meet you, but thereafter they will not come. In middle of a life, in the ending of a life, if Sun Dasha is there, you able to meet your all the past soul. You cannot change the deeds, you cannot add, you cannot remove, but Sun Dasha will only light the things. You come to know there is some connection. I think I have seen you. I think I met you, but there is no connection. You will not remember, but that is a sun which soul to soul connection, soul to soul connection. So not to consider about any material thing in the Sun Dasha. All material things you already brought in the Venus Dasha. There's nothing to gather in the material Dasha, but a search of a light. That much I can say about the Sun Dasha.
That is beautiful. And the way you talk about meeting people is exactly how I describe the sun as well. To bring up the progression again, in Ketu, we have completed our pending karma and fulfilled what we have needed to fill. And then in the Venus Dasha, we have experienced what we need to experience here on the material world, and hopefully have become more balanced, more harmonious.
Right.
Then once we've achieved that, now we can go meet where our soul wants to go. One of the word is, we say Atmakarika for the planet, which is the highest degree in the chart. But I also like Atmakarika just to use for to describe the sun, because the sun is the indicator for the Atma, which is the soul. But instead of saying soul significator, I like saying soul's direction. It's in this incarnation, the direction what the soul wants to travel to. And that have exactly to do with everything which Dr. Dharmesh says. Because all of the people you are meant to meet, all of the places you are meant to go, depending on the house, if it's in the 10th house, maybe the career that you are meant to have, that is what your soul is striving for. That is what your incarnation in this lifetime, your soul wants to achieve this. It wants to align to this. And that is also one of the reasons why Sun is exalted in Aries, because of all of this achievement of reaching the soul's direction. Sometimes when the sun is heavily afflicted, the person know their direction, but it is still hard to reach that. It is still hard to achieve that. Also, the soul's potential is idealistic. Sometimes what we think of as our soul's full potential or our soul's full direction, that place is unrealistic for us to reach for, especially if the sun is in difficult position in the chart. So it does bring you to your soul's direction, to your soul's full potential, to your soul's full alignment with people's, places, jobs, relationship, wherever sun is posited. But also, sometimes we can deal with disappointment during Sun Dasha. We can deal with if it's a functional malefic, because what our soul is striving for, if Saturn, let's say Saturn Sun conjunction, or Saturn having strong aspect on Sun, then everything that we're striving for, constant delay, constant adversity, constant setback. So on the positive side, the Sun Dasha can reach full potential of the soul's satisfaction. It can sit on the throne being the king's throne, which is completely satisfied. Or it can want to be the king, but the karma in the chart does not allow the person to become king. So then the sun is teaching them humility. So sometimes sun teach you confidence, and sometimes when Saturn and other difficult position of sun, it can teach humility as well.
Great. Really in depth. I appreciate your views, because I have very few words for the certain play, but you can describe very well. Yeah, great. By Kṣaṇāti, really in depth. So I think we move to the mood, that is a moon. Right? So moon. Now in the sequence it is a fourth dasha. Suppose we follow the Ketu sequence, it is a fourth dasha. The fourth house, fourth sign is also Cancer. Fourth house Karka is also moon. Significator also moon. And fourth dasha by default is also moon. So it shows you a real pleasure, not by material, but your inner satisfaction. Because moon, I say MOON or MOOD. Moon is a mood. It creates the mood because you have mate with your soulmate. As you described, you reach to the throne. You have become a king. So now now your wish, your mood will start. And that is why Moon Dasha and Fourth Dasha. If you are lucky to get a Moon Dasha as a Fourth Dasha or Moon Dasha at any time of a life, whether it's a childhood, whether it is a middle age, old age, or any part of a life, whenever the Moon Dasha comes, that 10 years is a remembrance of a lifetime. You cannot forget that period because that time your mood is on peak. If it is exalted or very well placed in the chart, your mood will be in the peak. Whatever you just image, you have to image, and that things happens because your moon and the natural moon has been connected. Your time is governed by moon and not by earth. So you'll be drawn with your mood. If you like a positive mood, you reach to the positive side. If your mood is something negative, you lead to the negative mood. But during Moon Dasha, I always suggest my client, friends, everyone, make a priority list. Because moon, we all know that every day its mood is different. Every day is a rising in the different level or it is waxing in the different level. So you think about one thing, next day it will say, no, I want something better. Or next day you will think further down. It depends on the moon position, how it is placed. Or Krishna Paksha or Shukla Paksha, rising moon or setting moon, likewise. But during Moon Dasha, one thing is guaranteed, that 10 years will be a remembrance of your entire life. If you wish to know whatever the thing has happened with you, just recall your Moon Dasha. Whenever I got some chart and the person has already passed the Moon Dasha, I always say, what you have done during this 10 years? And he becomes so emotional. Oh, that was a time where I do this, that. So that is the emotional connection of a person. That is why we call a moon is a mood. Your mother feelings. You touch everything, touch and feel everything. That is a moon dasha. So moon dasha also one need to be have, so that at least whatever is in your mind, at least will get things focused and become in actual. So moon dasha is also one of best dasha, I believe, after the Venus dasha. So you put your input, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. I think it's amazing how I have very similar understandings, and the way you put them is just a little bit different. And it's nice that we can have this different way of explaining similar lessons.
Yeah.
It's to me a great pleasure. Things that Dr. Dharmesh pointed out is the moon is the mood in the mind, and it rules the manas. From a spiritual perspective, the moon rules the connection between the heart, the Anahata chakra, and the mind, the buddhi. So when the moon dasha, all of this channel of energy becomes much more stronger. Person who has very strong moon in their chart, then they have this lifetime, especially if it's an ascendant. But over the course of the moon dasha, or when the moon transits also their natal position of their moon, they get very emotional hypersensitivity. Now, there are many different types of intuition, and even with Ketu Dasha, the person's spiritual or psychic intuition can be developed. But in the moon Dasha, the emotional intuition is developed. The emotional maturity is developed. If someone has strong moon in their chart, they always feel what other people feel. And this is because they have a lot of compassion in their heart. This is because they have a lot of empathy in their heart. But then moon dasha come for somebody and maybe they have closed heart. Maybe they're hard. And one thing that Dr. Dharmesh say, which I also wanted to agree, is that the moon creates soul memory. That's why if you ask someone what they experienced during their moon dasha, they get very sensitive, because it's not intellectual memory, it's soul memory, which on the positive side is beneficial, but that also includes some scar. If moon is conjunct with Rahu, if moon is conjunct with Ketu, if moon is conjunct with malefic or in very difficult position, this could show some skara, difficult soul memory for the person. And then their moon dasha, they have to work through that samskara. So the moon dasha, but on the positive side, they develop their empathic intuition. One last thing I want to say about moon dasha is the moon is the emblem of devotion. And in the ancient history, the moon sleep with Jupiter's wife Tara. This was not a intellectual decision. It was not a spiritual decision. It was a sensual, emotional decision. And so sometimes with the moon, when we hear the word devotion, the moon dasha help you to become more devotional. But the question is, devotion is not necessarily a good thing, because what are we devoted to? Are we devoted to God? Are we devoted to our family? Are we devoted to our career? And we give all of our emotion and our love and our energy to that? Or are we devoted to alcohol? Are we devoted to laziness? Are we devoted to any sort of dark pattern or dark activity? So we also, it's the restructuring of our devotion so that it can be, I hope, in alignment with the Deva. That the devotion, but also wherever the moon sits, that's where the devotion naturally goes to. And then also the moon also connected to family. So moon dasha, also great opportunity to get closer with the family, the mother and female side of the family, but also just general family connection as well.
Right. Very, very rightly say, Kṣaṇāti. It's really moon makes both the side mood. And some psycho analysis also can be done, because all schizophrenic, all the lunatic, idiots, and this emotional people develop that feelings more during that time. It's a tidal effect. It's a tidal effect. Yeah, great. So after the moon set the mood, then the desire start. And I always say that Mars is a desire, the burning desire. Mars, everybody know Mars is a action, Mars is a enthusiasm, Mars is a research, whatever. But I only think that the Mars is a desire, and that desire keeps the person alive. Because if you see the Kalpurusha, the first house, it is a Kalpurusha Aries, it is a Mars. The 8th house, again, is a Scorpio, it's a life. First house, it's a Mars. Death, 8th house is also a Mars, Scorpio sign. And 8 to 8, Ashtam to Ashtam, that is the 3rd house, that Karka is also a Mars. So I connect the Mars with the birth to death. And from birth to death, what stay with you is your desire. There should be a desire. Desire should be burning, and desire should be reachable. During the span of that small 7 years, you already become emotional. During the moon dasha, you already become emotional. Now you have to become practical. Out of that emotions, which are going to happen or not, that you are able to know during the Mars dasha. So Mars dasha makes you more desire, and you follow one desire, you get success. So that is why Mars is action. But for action, you need a force, and that force is a Mars. So one thing you have to always keep alive, that's in the form of desire. I want this. That you achieve, then you make a next desire. Now I want this. Now I want that. So entire period of a Mars dasha, all your energies will be used, and you'll be getting all kind of desire fulfillment during the Mars dasha. It's a period of action. It's a period of action, and this is the balancing dasha. See, Mars by sequence, it is a 5th dasha. Both the side, four dashas are there. You see, both the side, there's a equal 4 dashas are there in both the side. So Mars dasha always balance certain things. It said, don't incline you to the things you have already passed, and it always make you hope out the other things. Now from Mars onward, because till Mars, you all a small period was there. Only except the Venus Dasha, all the period was very small. But now you are going to have a long challenges of Rahu 18 years, Jupiter 16 years, Saturn 17 years, 19 years, and Mercury 17 years. Almost 60 years is that side, and 60 years you are there in this. So this is more kind of a balanced Dasha also, as I believe. So you can put your Ksanati, you can put your inputs, sir.
Again, everything you say resonate very deeply, and just another way of expressing it is Mars Dasha, and Mars is our relationship with energy, which is our spiritual relationship with energy. And Mars has physical side and is Bhumayaha, the son of the earth. But Mars also has mystical side. It has this great spiritual side. So people with very challenged Mars, they have challenge with energy. And if Mars is functional malefic or in difficult position during the Mars Dasha, then they will have difficult with doing what they need to do. Yes, Mars is action, but as Dr. Dharmesh so well put, Mars gives you the energy you need to complete the action. So if Mars is afflicted, the person does not have the energy, they might not have the ambition, they might not have the motivation, they might not have the desire. So we're looking at the individual relationship with energy. And that is, as you mentioned, this is the energy which you are gathering, which you are about to prepare to go through Rahu Dasha. And you are going to need as much energy as possible during your Rahu Dasha, during your Saturn Dasha. So the question is how do you improve your relationship with energy? So, so you find out the things which give you enthusiasm during Mars Dasha, the things which give you passion, the things which give you that you can be very excited about. And Mars actually has to do with the inner child. So no matter what age we are, there were things that we used to enjoy when we were a child. And then Mars Dasha. So for me, I like baseball. I like baseball since I was a young boy. And now I'm over 30 years old, and I still love baseball, so the same. And that's because Mars is such a good position in my chart. And also my father and all of my siblings, we also love baseball. So this is just an example, but it shows you the things in your life which will give you energy. It shows you the things in your life which will give you enthusiasm, which is your hobbies, which is your passions, which is your curiosities. The things will give you energy. It will also show you the things which will take away your energy, which are the things that you feel like you have to do, but you don't really want to do them. And you will notice that even though, as was mentioned by Dr. Dharmesh, Mars acts out of instinct. It acts directly, but afterwards it can still reflect, and afterwards it might reflect that the action it take was maybe not the action it should have been taken because it did not reach the goal. And so Mars is also the planet of goal fulfillment. So when it comes to the goals that the person has in their life, will the Mars Dasha help them reach their goals, or will they be left with less energy and have hard time to reach their goals?
Great inputs. You continue with the Rahu, sir.
Excellent. As we get into Rahu Dasha, I'm Rahu ascendant in Sattavishak Nakshatra with Rahu at 15 degrees. Rahu, very strong energy, and I study this Dasha and many of my clients in Rahu Dasha. So as we look into Rahu Dasha, we talked about Ketu, about our past lifetime karma. And usually that shows in our past lifetimes where we spent the most of our energy, where we spent the most of our focus, where we spent the most of our time. But on the opposite side of that, then that creates heavy, unfulfilled desire. It creates heavy, unsatisfiable desire, because we put too much area of emphasis in our past lifetime in one area, so it creates something completely unfulfilled. Because maybe on some deeper spiritual level, to be a human being is to have every kind of experience, not just this singular type of experience. So Rahu shows that we have some experience. It's a different type of unfulfilled karma. It's unfulfilled karma which we have not started. It's unfulfilled karma which we may have in our past lifetime had some interest in this, but for whatever reason we put it on the back shelf. We put it on the back burner and we did not let it fuel our life. So then the Rahu Dasha come to fulfill this. So one of the ways I use to describe Rahu is the soul's bucket list. But it's not the mind's bucket list. It's not the emotion bucket list. It's the soul's bucket list. And a lot of times when you're doing remedy for Ketu, you have to look at Rahu position. And that has something to do with the fact that, again, if not just to fulfill our things, not just to finish what we have started, but to start everything which we have liked to have tried. The thing is Rahu is the full realization of our mystical or occult potential. That's why Rahu is the shaman. Rahu is the wizard. Rahu is the magician. Rahu is the person who can perform miracle. However, on the other side of this energy, there's a lot of confusion about how to get there. Because there is so much, and Rahu is the dark side of the moon, where there is deception, where there is confusion, and where there is fog and smoke. But Rahu is also the archer, which shoot his arrow to fulfill all of your occult and mystical potential. But you are not supposed to know how, when that is supposed to align. You are not supposed to know. And one more thing, even when we begin to satisfy it, Rahu is not satisfied. Because when you give head food which has no stomach, there's no digestion of food. So he keeps with the hunger. He keeps with the hunger. Yeah. If you have Rahu in the 7th house and it's in a difficult position, it shows that you can get married. It will be very beneficial for you. But once you are married, you might desire other women, even though you have fulfilled your karma that you have wanted to experience. Rahu is still hungry for more. So that's why it leads us, and that is why the most spiritual side of Rahu, it leads us to sadhana, it leads us to mantra, it leads us to tantra. And the great demon Swarbhanu, he had very strong tapas. So there is this association that the Asurya is not spiritual. No, the Asurya is still spiritual. They just have attachment to life. They just have attachment to pleasure. So Rahu is this experiencing everything that we need to experience, which is part of our soul's bucket list. Now, the thing is Rahu is the hard knock life lesson, which means that we have to go through it the hard way. That means that no one, my father, I'm Rahu ascendant. My father always gave me good advice. Did I listen to his advice at the time? No. Now, when I reflect about his advice, I know it was 100% correct, yet still I have to go through the Rahu experience. I have to go through the lesson and challenge myself. And so many people during Rahu Dasha, they might, in the process of finding the Dharma, in the process of aligning to the full spiritual potential, they might find themselves in certain circumstances or situations, and they might say to themselves, this is not who I am. This is not what I want. This is not my Dharma. This is not what I desire. But those experiences are equally valuable. And someone with good relationship with Rahu will tell you that those bad experiences are equally valuable as the good ones. Because who we are and our Dharma and our higher purpose here, we think that we have to add things to it. But actually, Rahu is akin to Saturn. our true self is a subtractive process, which means all of the illusion, all of the Maya, all of the false things which we might think about ourselves, the only way for us to realize those things are false is for us to try them. For example, I thought I was a shaman. So I moved to South America and I studied with shaman in the rainforest for some time. And then I realized I was not shaman. And my life was not meant to be shaman. And this was when I was having strong Rahu Ketu half return in the gold.
Right.
So sometimes we must go through experiences that are contrary a dharma in order to show us what is our true self, what is our real dharma. And so for people in the Rahu Dasha, it creates austerity. By the end of the Rahu Dasha, the person will be austere, which means they will be serious. Why so serious? Because when you've had to go through so much nonsense, Maya, illusion, and falseness in order to find out who you are and why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing, then also like Venus, it creates selfish. Because it's the selfish that you need in order to fulfill your dharma. And you're going to be very serious about that as you go through as you find your dharma through difficulty, through Rahu Dasha, then you will be very serious about what it takes to keep this.
Right.
Dr.
Very
Dharmesh,
true.
well, what are your some thoughts on Rahu Dasha?
Yeah, you have covered a major part, Kṣaṇāti. I think you have researched too much about the Rahu, and that reflect in your knowledge. I want to add certain things. What he has said is absolutely right. But Rahu Dasha follows the two rules. Rest all the Dasha follows its own rules, whereas Rahu has the two fixed nodes. First, which sequence it comes. It is always giving, if it comes in the even sequence, then only it will give you results. Otherwise, in the odd sequence, it will take away all your results. So that should be always to be seen, that whether the Rahu Dasha falls second, fourth, or sixth. Whenever I say that you take a birth in the Ketu, Sun, and Mars, then this sequence will come as a 2, 4, 6 only. So first Rahu gives the good result if it comes in the sequence of 2, 4, and 6, all even side. And second rule for Rahu Dasha is that it should be placed very well in 3, 6, 10, and 11 house. What we call as a Upachaya. Upachaya house means to do own self. As you have already point out that even though somebody restrict, one create the experience and then they realize, oh, that is right. So same way, the Rahu also want abundance of this work. 3, 6, 10, 11 is the main place where Rahu is not challenged by anyone. Whenever in transit also, Rahu transit from your moon 3, 6, 10, 11 house, or from your ascendant 3, 6, 10, 11 house, or even from natal Rahu if it is transiting to 3, 6, 10, 11, it is the best time of a life. So those having a Rahu Dasha, as we have pointed out in the Ketu Dasha, that this is a time where you have to complete your past deeds. In Ketu Dasha, you have to pay to your dues. In Rahu Dasha, people will come and give you. Now many people ask whether my Rahu Dasha is good or whether my Rahu Dasha is bad. It depends that you have to take what. You will get that much only what you owe from others. Many people suffer too much during Rahu Dasha because they have given pain to them. It depends on the Rahu position, how Rahu is placed. And new experience is the main domain of a Rahu. That is why we all have heard about the story that when the Amrit has came, that all the Devta has seated and Rahu also want this. See, Rahu was a very, very sharp and smart planet. It is a human being. It is written in the Yavan Jataka also that he is also a human being. But he is a very good, as you say, magician. That's a right word, Rahu is. Rahu has a tremendous magic in him. And that is why they born with the Rahu energy. So they all together, like Mars, Saturn, Sun, they all activated. Go and sit in the place of God, and you will be poor with the Amrita, and you will become immortal. So that makes a Rahu. So Rahu people always misguided by the people surrounded by them. And because of the misguided, he is so charged and he has done that act, and because of that his head was cut. But he cannot enjoy that. Same way in the Rahu Dasha. See, Rahu Dasha always says a merry-go-round. We have that merry-go-round, that circle, right, 360 degree. This is the principle of Rahu Dasha. From where you start, there you end. Because during Rahu Dasha, when there's a Rahu Dasha starts, the same day, same degree, the Rahu transiting in whichever sign, after the 18 years, Rahu will come to same sign, same degree. This is only Dasha and transit match. Rahu Mahadasha is also 18 years, and Rahu Dasha, the half portion, after the 9 years, the Ketu appears, and in Ketu Dasha, after the 3.5 and 4 years, the Rahu appears. I said in many of my videos that Rahu is the activator. In any Dasha, suppose you are having a Jupiter Dasha, until the Rahu Dasha comes, it will not active. If you end the Venus Dasha, when the Rahu sub-period will start, that Dasha really activates. Now you see, if Rahu can activate, so whenever the Rahu Dasha starts, the people come to you and give what you do, what you owe from them. And that is why many people get sudden gain, speculation, good growth during Rahu. Why? Because that they have to receive from them. So it's a planet of full of challenge, because after the Mars, the Rahu came to actually execute the courage you have combined during the Mars Dasha. And that is why I also take a challenge to take a birth of a people in the Mars Dasha. When people born in the Mars Dasha in the initial stage, see, you find some children with the childhood, they become successful player, they successful list. This is because of the Mars Dasha, and immediately followed by the Rahu Dasha. So immediately that talent will come out. Whatever things are hidden, that will come out. The difference of Ketu Dasha and difference of Rahu Dasha, only that in Ketu Dasha you pay, in Rahu Dasha you get whatever you owe from others. So take a challenge of a Rahu Dasha. Don't get scared of a Rahu Dasha. In my first video in the 2016, when I started my channel, I started with the Rahu. Because there are so many misconceptions. As Kṣaṇāti, you have well pointed out that people are misguided with the Rahu, Ketu, and literally some astrologer, I should not name, but literally some astrologer earn with the Rahu and Ketu by making some kind of negative things. I know that Rahu will not bear them. Whenever the Rahu Dasha comes, they will suffer during that time. But we should not pray for anybody. But during Rahu Dasha, take a challenge. If your Rahu Dasha comes under the odd sequence, third, first, third, fourth, fifth or seventh, take care that you have to receive what you have done. So accept everything. Accept the reality and surrender to the nature. So many times I say Rahu is a nature. Moon, as you have said very well, that moon is a conscious mind and Rahu is a subconscious mind. So during Rahu Dasha, your subconscious mind always hyper. It always activates. It always gives you a right point. But you are drawn by someone else and you are not listening to your own heart. And ultimately, you get the same result what you have seen, what you have thought in your mind. So during Rahu Dasha, just live openly. Don't scare of anything. Just only believe on one God, one nature, and one life. This is a mantra for Rahu Dasha. I hope I also have covered so many things about Rahu. Kṣaṇāti?
Beautiful, Dr. Dharmesh. That was just so resonant with me. And based on that, this surrender, which you talk about, I think that's also sometimes why Rahu is akin to Saturn. And one thing that Rahu does and Rahu Dasha does is it makes it hard to accurately perceive the one's own future. I say one's own future because some people with strong Rahu, they can see other people's future, just not their own.
Yes.
But
Right.
but for Rahu Dasha, it can either be like heaven or like hell. Rahu can either act like an angel or like a demon. And of course that has to do with Rahu position in the chart, but it also has to do with our consciousness. I think,
Right.
and so I think to make Rahu Dasha the most benefic, no matter what position Rahu is, you are to live in the moment. You are to live in this day. You are to live in this hour. You are to live in this.
You have to surrender. Yeah, you have to surrender to the time, nature, whatever you believe. Right? Very true.
The people who suffer the most during the Rahu Dasha and the most destruction which happened during Rahu Dasha is people who are uncertain about the future and always thinking about it. And because they are so afraid of the future, they make some sort of decision to try to control something, and then everything will be destructed. So
Right.
just to live in today. And the Rahu Dasha is one of the greatest time of life. But if you are constantly worrying, thinking, trying to control the future, then this will not be easy Dasha. So it is our consciousness which can either make the Rahu Dasha, is our ability to live in the now, which is what many spiritual teachings also teach us is part of spiritual evolution, is just to live in this moment.
Right, very true. So now we are moving ahead to the Jupiter Dasha. After the Rahu, Jupiter really it is required, because all the adventure you have done in the Rahu Dasha, now you have to enjoy the things. And that is why Rahu is just initial stage of your spiritual growth. The Jupiter is a real where you link with the Guru, you link, because Rahu start with the fear. It has started with the fear, whereas the Jupiter will start with the real knowledge of a spirituality. So Jupiter is a growth. In my so many videos also I say it's a growth. So after you have done all the work of a Rahu Dasha, of all your inner conscious, whatever, now you want to grow. Now you want a right path. Jupiter is also a guru, like your guru, yeah, your elders, your families. So now you again get a support of your families. You value your families, and thereby your growth starts. Whether it is a financial growth, whether it is a knowledge growth, whether it is your family growth, your wife, spouse, children, anything. But in Kali Yuga, because this is a Kali Yuga, this is not a Satyug. So in Kali Yuga, the Jupiter Dasha doesn't have much power. Why? Because the growth, whatever the growth happens, it creates a more need, more greediness. So sometime in the Jupiter Dasha, even though people having so much thing, wealth, everything, they are still not satisfied. But one thing is sure during the Jupiter Dasha is that the person always follow the right path. Even though Jupiter is weak in the chart, it is debilitated, affected with the malefic planet, person will not leave his own path. That is a great thing, or sanskara. We call it as a sanskara, sacrament. So it's a kind of a sanskara that Jupiter has. So whatever your guru has taught, your parents has taught, your family are following, that right path you follow during Jupiter Dasha. And that is why this is a right opening place for spiritual growth or religious growth. Normally Jupiter, I believe, is a religious growth rather than the spiritual, because spiritual growth comes after the religious growth. So after the growth of all, then you need your own growth. So those who are going into the temple, those who are going into the bhajana or kirtana or all kind of a religious activity is a Jupiter. And after the religious, that's the Saturn that gives the spirituality or inner depth. So Jupiter will grow certain environment surrounding to you with the rising mode. So see in our body, in our chart also there is a 5 house. The Jupiter is a Karaka. 2 house it's a sign place, 1 sign its own place, and 3 house its aspect. Almost 10 to 11 houses affected with the Jupiter. So when Jupiter Dasha comes, almost out of your 12 house, your 9, 10 or 11 house get activated automatically, directly or indirectly, and that is why all the houses bring some or the other growth. Somewhere the Jupiter is a Karaka, significant. Somewhere the Jupiter is a owner, there's a lord of that house. Somewhere Jupiter has place, somewhere Jupiter is aspecting. So this all different dimension count into the 9, 10 houses, which is automatically grow during the Jupiter Dasha. And that is why the conclusion of a Jupiter Dasha is a growth. Overall, you will find a growth in all the sense. So that is my viewpoint of Jupiter Dasha. You may share your views, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. Again, everything you're saying really resonating. I was born in Jupiter Dasha, my moon in Vishaka, and ninth house position. So always been very inclined to religion and spirituality my whole life. And the many things that you point out, I am just going to say them exactly the same, but just in different words. First is that Jupiter is guru. And a lot of times when we hear guru, we think of someone who, a Brahmin, which is in a temple, or someone of enlightenment. But guru just means teacher.
Yeah.
So when we talk about Jupiter Dasha, it is one of the greatest dasha for education. The specific type of education being spiritual or religious education, because Jupiter is Guru Deva. But one thing that Dr. Dharmesh said, which I completely agree, is it's also about the moral and the ethical evolution. There's an evolution outside of religion, which is about being a better person, doing good deeds, doing acts of kindness, being selfless, humanitarian, and generous. And all of these energies get much stronger throughout the Jupiter Dasha. So on the Guru side of it is the full moral and ethical evolution. On the Guru Deva on the side of it is the more spiritual and religious side of the evolution. Also with Jupiter Mahadasha, it come after Rahu Dasha. Which means you're ready for Jupiter Dasha when it comes. 99.9% of people you talk to at the end of their Rahu Dasha, they're ready to throw party when Jupiter Dasha begin. That is because they are so now find themselves through the hard path, and now they are ready to be that self. But the thing is about the guru is we think of the guru as someone outside of ourselves. For example, my Sadguru Amritananda Mahima, she is a saint from Kerala. She just goes around, does service, does hugs, and this is great darshan. But that is the guru outside of us, but she is there to show us the guru inside of us, that all of us have this divine energy, that all of us have this divine realization. And all of the great teachers, whether the great Hindu saints, even Jesus Christ, the great Christian leader, he had this same message that the divine light is inside of us. So the Jupiter Dasha is the realization of, yes, honoring our teachers, learning higher education, moral, ethical evolution, spiritual evolution. But I think on the deepest level, it's the realization of the guru inside of ourselves, which is the realization of the wisdom inside of ourselves, which is the awareness of the light and the divine energy, which is moved through our system. So it's the guru outside of us, which is the teacher, but also the guru inside of our soul, the higher self within.
Right. Very true. Very true. Great.
So next we will move on and from Jupiter Dasha to discuss Saturn Dasha. Saturn Dasha is my current Mahadasha. It's also my ruling planet of Aquarius ascendant. And
Wow.
and as Saturn is Kṣaṇāti, the slow mover planet. And of all of the Navagraha, it's the farthest away from Surya, and it's also the planet which moved the slowest, scientifically speaking.
Right.
So from this perspective, Saturn Dasha is here to teach us patience. And it says that no spiritual change or growth manifests without Saturn. So you have intellectual knowledge from Mercury. You have spiritual wisdom from Jupiter. But that doesn't mean that you've manifested that change. That doesn't mean that you've integrated. Maybe you might have learned or read about it in a book. Maybe your great teacher might have handed down some wisdom to you. But that doesn't mean that you have done anything with it, done anything with that knowledge, that you have done anything with that wisdom. And Saturn represents the mundane world. And
Yes.
if you look at the glyph, the Western glyph of Saturn, it's a cross with the anchor, with the hook attached to the bottom of it. And that hook is into the mundane world. That hook is into this the service and the responsibilities that are required of us during this life. So I think that Saturn Dasha is the planet which offers us virtue. That Jupiter is not actually virtue, even though Jupiter teaches us what virtue is, but you can't become a virtue just by learning about what it is. You have to be tested. You have to be challenged. You cannot become patient if your patience is not tested. You cannot become humble if your humility is not tested. So here comes Saturn Dasha to test your patience, to test your humility, to test your acceptance. And I believe that if you pass the test of Saturn, then Saturn will reward you beyond the greatest imagination of any graha. But the thing is Saturn only gives you what you deserve, which means you have to earn it, which means you have to work for it. You have to put in your time. You have to put in your hours. And Saturn is the Shudra, which means the servant or the slave. And what happens when we're working as a servant or slave? We do not get the reward. We do not get the recognition, or the reward or recognition is not how we thought it would look.
Right.
Even in my own Saturn Dasha, I have come to know all of these amazing astrologers and study in-depth and advanced astrology, but it is still hard to pay the rent. So sometimes the rewards are different than the how you would want them to be. And Saturn is also called Mahakala. It's the great Lord of time. So when we have our human understanding of time, which is mostly artificial, our structure of time is a pretty good guess, but our time is connected towards our desires. For example, when we start something, there's a certain amount of time that we expect to finish it. When we want something, there's a certain amount of time that we expect to get it. But that is our will.
Right.
That is not God's will. So Saturn is also, Dasha, is also about surrender to God's will. But the strongest way that shows up is through time. Because our will is connected towards our time and our desires. When we want things to happen in. And usually people with very difficult Saturn experience, they have certain timeline that they want something to happen in, and it is not happening in the timeline that they desire. Now, on a deeper level, it's teaching them patience. But if they can't be patient, they'll never achieve what they're going to strive for. That's why one of my
very true.
Used to say, Saturn is a planet that delays, but it does not deny. And I even go further. that Saturn is a planet that delays, but it also guarantees.
Yes.
But so because when you receive that thing, that you finally are completely deserving. Your karma is that you are meant to receive that. So it is sustainable. For example, if a marriage is to happen and Saturn being the activator of the marriage, then the person will probably never have divorce.
Yeah.
However, if other planets are activating of the marriage, there can be more indication of divorce. Even though the person might not get married until they're 30 or 40 years old. Or maybe they get married to an older person who's 5-10 years older than them. But it still ends up being sustainable versus something which is going to be more fluctuating. So Saturn delays, it teaches us patience, but there is no spiritual growth or change manifest without Saturn. I believe Saturn Dasha is one of the greatest for the spiritual growth in terms of how can we manifest all of our knowledge and wisdom into actual service.
Right. Very true. Add on to your things, you have covered the maximum and all the points of my. But one thing is different from the Saturn is that there are three ways of learning. There are three ways of learning. One is by reading a book. While person reading the book is a Mercury, because his knowledge is only going his mind. He's not understanding. While listening the others, like a Guru Shishya, it is by Jupiter. And by experience of own self or experience by the life is a Saturn. So Saturn gives you the actual experience of the nature. So that is why the Saturn Dasha is very much required. It's like discipline. Saturn need a discipline. See what happened, we all called Shani is a Surya Putra, means is a child of a sun. And who's a child of a sun have a same energy of a sun. Sun we believe as a highly regular, the Saturn is also very regular planet. What happened that Sun only shows the things. It show you, go and see, this is the fruit. But to go to that place, to take the fruits and eat is a Saturn. And Sun only believe its own child, that is a Saturn. See, all the planets came out of Sun only. We all believe that one after another, that planet has come out from the Sun. But the first object come out from the Sun is a Saturn. And that is why we call as a Surya Putra Shani. It's a child of a Sun. We don't call others as a child, even though they have come from the Sun only. But we only believe and call that Shani is Saturn is a son of a Sun. So how Sun is regular, Saturn is that much also regular. Sun will only show you the soul deeds are done by the Saturn. So all the judgment, that is why lawyer, advocate, judgment people always wear the black things or black clothes, because that is a Saturn, right? And Saturn is always for the judgment. So on the day of judgment, the Saturn always activates. So what you learn from the life is a Saturn. It doesn't like a theoretical knowledge. He gives you exactly the circumstances and say you write paper here. It will not give you a question paper. It will give you a situation. It will give you and put you in the situation where you have to come out. There is no help from the others. And that is why for Saturn, I always say that Saturn people always learn with their own experience. They never follow anyone. They follow their own instinct. They always go with their own deeds. They don't believe that somebody will come and give them something. No. In fact, they go and take. Like example, somebody want a water. They'll call their servant, oh, bring the water. And somebody will bring water and he will drink. No. Saturn is not like that. Saturn will go, dig the well, take the water and then drink. So that is a sweat of brow. I say it's a sweat of brow. When you work hard now, there's a sweat comes on here. So Saturn is nothing but the sweat of brow. And for Saturn, all the deeds, you and yourself is only enjoying. You and yourself is only a karta. So during the Saturn Dasha, The person become isolated. I've seen many people say that everybody has left me. See, that's Sunny Sadesati also come for everybody's life after 27 years when the Saturn again returned to their moon, 12th house. So what happened, that is also a form by which it warn you that, see, control your emotion, otherwise I will punish you. And during the Sunny Sadesati, the first phase is always mental, then second is physical, and third is a financial. Same way in the Saturn Dasha also, he'll say, become independent. Don't depend on anyone. And as you say, Sanishcharai Nama, it is move very slowly because it is very far. It is now from Sun, it is very far, and its movement has slowed down. And that is why it's giving a result after so long efforts. For Saturn, you have to put 1, 2, 3. How many number of attempts you have to put, you don't know. And that is why people who are whose Saturn is not powerful, they get scared when Saturn Dasha or Sadesati comes. But in actual, I've seen those who are very work hard, workaholic, they never scare with the Saturn. Those who are ready to work, Saturn is ready to give the result. And that is why, same way as you say, delay but sure. The Saturn always delay the result, but Saturn always, I say, it gives a necessity base, not need base. Your need may be so many things, but your necessity is what that you get. That is why the best example of Saturn we always give as a beggars. All the beggars and poors comes under the Saturn. But even they are begging, even they are depending on somebody else, they still get the food according to their necessity. Today, if we want, as a healthy person, he need 2200 calories from morning to evening he will get. That surety Saturn gives. So during a Saturn Dasha, one should have a patience. One should have a belief that yes, I will get. Even though whenever you get, that is the right time. It's not your time. Because in Shani, the Saturn we also call as a Kal. Kal means a time. So it always gives on its own time. You live, we live in this earth, so we follow the sun time, but Saturn gives its own time. And that is why people get very frustrated when the Saturn doesn't give them on the spot. It never gives on the spot. See, suppose you get 100 rupees work, and if you get 100 rupees, then you will not work tomorrow. He will only give, out of 100 rupees, it will give you only 50 rupees on your hand, and 50 rupees it will balance for next time. Whenever you are in the problem, it will again give you back. So that always you have a safe side that your deeds will be paid. And that surety Saturn gives, that one day your deeds I will pay you. Just have a patience, wait for the time, and when the necessity arises, not your need, when your necessity arises, Saturn gives like anything. I seen the people having during Saturn Dasha, they flourish like anything. Why? Because in other time they have worked very well. If your Saturn Dasha falls after the age of 36, it is a lottery for you. If comes before the 36, it will give you so much hardship. But if the Saturn Dasha falls after the age of 36, you are lucky. Immediately it comes and gives you the result. So that I've seen so many charts, and that is my experience about the Saturn Dasha.
It's amazing how you describe the thoughts that are in my mind and say exactly how I feel in a very unique way. Just like you say sweat of the brow, I say Saturn is paying your dues, which also you said to get back the resilience, which means if you fall back on the horse, to get back on the horse. And one other thing that you talk about that's also Saturn makes you feel lonely, and you can feel everyone has left me. But one of my great teachers, Dr. Vasant Lad, he said, there is no greater difference than loneliness and being alone. So part of the spiritual maturity with Saturn is that it teaches us to be alone without being lonely. And also Dr. Mehta talk about not being dependent on others. not being on the need of others. So this is very important, this need to be independent. And last thing, which also Dr. Dharmesh say, which also resonant, is the relationship between the Sun and Saturn. And yes, all of the graha come out of the Sun, and there is no planet which is more brilliant, which is more celestial than Surya. Yes, but Saturn was the son of Surya. And so it is always in the shadow of the Sun. It is always in the shadow. But guess, I've looked under Saturn under a telescope, and it has these beautiful rings. And
22 wings.
Saturn shines in its own way. I don't think that I think that it's easier to see the brilliant light which emanate from Surya, but the rings of Saturn are just as beautiful as the light of the Sun. And it says in the ancient sutra, the shadow of Saturn is so great, is so blessed and mighty, that it will cover over the light of Surya. So this is also the potential that Saturn can shine even brighter than Sun. Is this possible?
Yes, very much. Yeah. Then we can move to the last, Mercury. You may start. I'll add on.
When we go into Mercury, Mercury is Buddhayaha, the emblem of intelligence, and it is connected to Buddhi, which is the discretionary factor of our consciousness, that which analyze, computates, or understand, aka our rational or our logical part of our mind. And a lot of the good friends and astrologers I know, they have strong Mercury energy because it's about analysis, it's about understanding. The Buddhi, when it receives some kind of information, it analyzes and understands it. So people with strong Mercury, their very intellectual capacity is strong. Their comprehensive and understanding capacity is strong. And also on a deeper, more spiritual level, Mercury is the messenger of the gods. So I think all of us has a message which our soul carries. And very interesting, Sun and Mercury often travel together, and Sun is also connected to the soul. But what is the message which we carry? But this goes through many stages of evolution. And depending on the dignity and position, functional, benefic, malefic position of Mercury, the expression, the communication, the intelligence of the individual, it's either going out in a beautiful exponential way, or they're having challenges with their expression. And from a spiritual healing perspective, the throat chakra, it becomes blocked, which means the throat chakra, it either spins too slowly, which means the person does not have the confidence to say what they want to say, or the throat chakra is spinning too quickly, which means they don't know how to stop talking. They don't know when to shut up. So there is this strong vibration here, which Mercury, which is the evolution of our communication, the evolution of our intelligence, and unlocking of the messenger energy within our life. But this is Mercury Dasha. Sometimes that unlocking of the messenger energy, it can be very uncomfortable. I believe the first step is to understand what your message is. The thing is that with Mercury, you have to understand that message logically, rationally, intellectually. We had Jupiter Dasha, Saturn Dasha, Rahu Dasha, which come before this, where all sorts of understanding come through, but none of them are Buddhi-oriented. As you get into the understanding of the Mercury, the knowledge is Buddhi-oriented. So how can I actually express what I have to say, which might be the wisdom that you've learned through Saturn, Jupiter, and Rahu? How do I express that wisdom through speaking? How do I express that wisdom through writing? Maybe if Mercury is with Venus or Venus sign, how can I express that through creativity? Also, once we understand what the message is, something that Jupiter taught us a long time ago, which I think one time we call Mercury the professor. And once you have what your message is, you also have to represent that message. You have to be the message. You can't be a hypocrite. You can't have a message and then live your life in a different way. So this is where a lot of the blocks with Mercury and the communication come in. You might know what your message is, but if you can't be that message, no one is going to want to listen to you. No one is going to be able to listen to you. How can you even listen to yourself, spiritually speaking, if you're not a representation of the message what you carry? So then after you become the message, that's when you share the message. That's when you speak the message. That's when you write the message, and that's when everyone listens to the message. That means listens to your speaking, listens to your book, listens to your writings, listens to anything you have to share. Not because you have the knowledge, but because you are the knowledge. And I think the Mercury Dasha can help us not only see what our message is, become that message, but usually by the end of the Dasha, the person, if it's in a good position, is actively expressing and communicating their message.
Right, right. Yeah, very well said. That's a whole coverage of a Mercury you have done, Buddha. Adding to one or two lines only, that normally on the 80% people have the Mercury combust. Normally, because it's as you said very well, that it's always moving with the sun. So now what happened that it might be a combust, and during the combustion, if somebody is having a Mercury combustion, you have to follow the sun, because Mercury is totally surrendered to the sun. So now this Mercury Dasha, what you mean as a Mercury Dasha, is not giving as Mercury but as giving as a sun. So that mistake people normally make, even though knowing that is a combust. And the rule for combustion says, if it is combust, it has surrendered, it has bowed to the sun. Now look at the sun. Now sun has a principle. Now it will give the result. So first of all, that you have to see how the Mercury is placed. Sometimes it is a retrograde. There's a three conditions: either is combust or either it will retrograde. So if it is retrograde, you have a something different brain than others. During your Mercury Dasha, you will communicate, you read the message as you say, with a different meaning. And because of your grasping power, you understand more deeply. So retrogression of Mercury plays a very important role. Only if the planet which combusts and retrograde together is also a Mercury, and because of the combustion and the retrogression, you are always underestimating such a person. So first of all, you have to see how the situation of a Mercury there in the chart. And normally, as you said, the Mercury is a buddhi, right? It's a real word of a buddhi, but in the English version it says a gray matter. See, we all know, we all have a brain. It's a shape of a walnut, and there is a deep shape are there, and in shape the liquid or fluid is there. That fluid is called as a gray matter, and Mercury is a karak or significant of that gray matter. Everybody have a same shape and same weight of a brain, but everybody's brain works differently on the basis of a gray matter. So Mercury basically believes on the depending on the gray matter, and that is why we call buddhi or application of mind. See, everybody have a mind, but everybody doesn't have an application, how to apply the brain.
Yeah.
So if your Mercury is a powerful, your application is so strong. You understand, as we say, you read the message, you get the message, you read the message, you decode the message, and you reply also. So that way, the Mercury is in the sequence of a Ketu, it is the last dasha. Normally, those who born in the Ketu, Sun, Ketu, Venus, Sun, and Moon, they hardly get the Mercury Dasha. Those who born from Mars Dasha, they may get the Mercury Dasha in their life. So, in the sequence of Dasha, it is the last Dasha, and at last, if it is the last Dasha, like Aslesha, Jyeshta, and Revati, it is the last nakshatra of that series, as Revati is the last nakshatra of all constellations. Here is the last planet. At least, at last, you should understand something. Is the message of a Mercury Dasha. After Saturn Dasha, this comes. So Saturn Dasha makes you physically active. Now you don't have to work physically, work smartly. And today's generation, they work smart. They don't work hard work. So this Mercury should be very powerful during your education time, as well as during your business and trading time, commercial activity time. That is why it's a karaka of a 4th house and 10th house. 4th house, you need your brain during your education, and while you are doing something, you need a brain. So entire Mercury Dasha, you can control every situation by your mind or application of mind. That's beauty about the Mercury Dasha. See, Mercury is also a planet of greenery. We all believe as a greenery. So it always gives something new, a bird to bloom. So whatever the idea seeded inside you during the Saturn Dasha, that all the ideas will come back in this Mercury Dasha, and you will enjoy this. And Mercury is the only closest planet of the Sun. So after the enlightenment, Sun is enlightenment. After the enlightenment, your brain start working. That's a combination of Sun and Mercury. And that is why the galaxy of the Sun, all the planets, this Mercury follows more to the Sun. And as like the Sun, how heated it is, we don't know how much heat it is. The Mercury is also very heated planet because it's close to the Sun. If you don't believe, just touch your head, it is hot only. So that is a live example of Mercury. So that's about the Mercury Dasha. So this is all about the Mercury Dasha. So you may add something, or you can compile everything.
Amazing. I just want to emphasize everything you said about the gray matter, which from an Ayurvedic perspective is sadhaka. Sadhaka Pitta. And there are 5 major sites of Pitta. And one of the major sites of Pitta is sadhaka, which is the gray matter of the brain. This is deeply connected to Mercury. And so it's very interesting because Mercury is considered a tridoshic planet. But one thing that Dr. Mehta mentioned, which I agree and is known, is that Mercury is easily influenced. The planet that it travels with the most is Surya, so it's most influenced by the sun. The sun is a Pitta planet. So a lot of times Mercury takes on these Pitta qualities, especially when it's combust or very close to the sun, because as Dharmesh ji mentioned, Mercury is surrendering to Surya. It is giving its energy over. Yeah. That also means if Mercury is conjunct with another planet, it is also easily influenced by that other graha. And the closer the conjunction, the more willing it is to give its surrender over to that energy, like it does with the sun. Sun is the common energy. But let's say Mercury is with Rahu, then Rahu have heavy influence on the natal Mercury. And the Mercury can act more like Rahu. Or with Venus even. And then the last thing I want to say is that this part of the brain, the sadhaka, it also rules wit, which is Mercury is the lord of comedy and is the lord of humor. And Mercury has a great sense of humor because good humor is to understand something quickly. And the best comedians, they understand something quickly, and then quickly they will make other statement that will make everybody laugh. This is because of sadhaka pitta. It's the buddhi, it's the Mercury, it's the intellectual capacity of the brain. And I think one of the most beautiful, that Mercury dasha, over the course of the dasha, the person's sense of humor should get better and better as well.
Yes, very much.
In Saturn Dasha, you might cry, but in Mercury Dasha, you're much more likely to laugh.
Yeah. After the hard work, now you are doing smart work. We are relaxed. So this is all about the Dasha and how beautifully, how differently it is given. I like the sequence. I only like the sequence and in the yearly wise also, and as per the planetary wise also. So one has to 50% take a stress of birth dasha, because from his own birth dasha, his sequence will start. Maybe from Saturn he start, maybe from Mercury he start, maybe from sun it start, or anywhere. So the sequence from where you stand, from where you born, your sequence will start, whether good or whether bad. Sometimes it happens that sequence is good, like second dasa, fourth dasa, but planet is bad, like Saturn or Rahu or Mars. So it happens that with the good sequence, bad planet also comes, and maybe a bad planet in good sequence. So you have to combine all both the things and both results simultaneously. What I believe.
100%. And another way of saying exactly what Dr. Dharmesh said is when we're looking at the Jyotish, we're looking at a map of the soul's karma. And then when you look at these dasha in alignment with the gochar, with the transit, you're looking at the culmination or the fruit of the karma, of the manifestation of the karma. So when you're looking at the birth dasha, you're looking at the karmic evolution starting point for the entire lifetime, which indicates the karmic evolution potential from the moment of birth for the entire rest of the lifetime. And you can see this shift throughout the dasha. So as you can see, we can analyze these dashas individually, but on a much deeper level, there's such an interconnection with our karma and our spiritual evolution and the relationship of these dashas as they transition into each other. And this is all just setting us up for, again, a summit on Dasha, different methods of using Dasha, different discussions of Dasha in August 18th with Dr. Dharmesh, myself, Sunili, Sadasiva, and PVR. So we hope you will join all of us. And Dr. Dharmesh, thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I hope you feel the same as I do, that this is the start of something we will be doing much work together. And this is a great honor and pleasure for me. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you so much, Ji.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Namaste.